What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan Fan, and as always is my good buddy Link. What's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here. Glad to be back. As always, I say it every week, but make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, whatever you can do to help the channel out. We want to get to as many people as possible because this show, as always, is for you guys. But get in the comment section. We want to hear what you think about this one. Another tough week going down to Houston. So let us know what you think, any predictions you got, and we will jump right into it.
Absolutely. Get in the comments, man. Talk with us. That's what we want. We want to hear from all the fans. We want to get you involved. That's what we do. We do it for you. It's 100% free, and it's absolutely sponsored by Red Zone Builders. I finally remembered. All right. So anyway, let's get down to it. Titans versus Texans. The 2-8 Titans versus the 7-4 Texans. Largest spread so far in the season, 8.5 points from what I saw.
I think it's down to 7.5, which still it's a lot.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah,
it is coming the Titans' direction if that counts for anything.
I'll take it. I'll take anything we can get. We're back to the regular CBS, 1 o'clock, depending on where you are in Tennessee. 40.5 is the over-under I got. What do you got?
Yeah,
same thing?
That's same. Yep, 40.5.
All right, so for me, on this game, I'm going with the over.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Like, I didn't think I would ever go with an over that was over 40 points this season anyway. But I'm gonna go out there. I think that's probably a bold prediction, but I'm still gonna go out there and do it.
For me, I don't see Houston with Tennessee's defense. I don't see them scoring over 30. And I'm still not at a point to where the Titans have proven they can score over 17. So for me, it's like just statistically, I've got to take the under on that one.
Hey, man, I totally get it. And to be honest, I probably should take the under just because, the Titans have averaged, I think, like 17 points over the season per game or 16.5 points per
dreaded
season.
17. Yep.
Yeah, we are right there, man. And Houston, I think, is somewhere around 22 points per game, if I'm speaking correct. I don't know, but I think I'm right on board there. So, yeah, more than likely it is going to be the under. But, yeah, I don't know. But for some reason, I think this is going to be an extremely hostile and very chippy game. I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And really, I think it's going to depend on whoever sets the tone in the beginning parts of the game is really going to just take over. But, I could be wrong. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this one's another field position battle. That's what's going to make special teams so important this week. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But you're looking at Houston. They're the fourth best team in yards allowed. Tennessee's the second. So neither defense giving up a whole lot of yards. Be interesting to see how healthy Houston is when we get into this injury report. But, yeah, I mean, I see this as another kind of slow grind. Who's going to be able to establish the run early? Stroud right now, he's fifth in the NFL in pass yards, but I think our secondary can hold up decently well against him. I don't think he has a breakout day like we've seen in games past. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, for me, this one's just going to be a slow, on-the-ground grind, field position game. I don't expect either of these teams to have a lot of possessions, so they're going to have to make the most out of their opportunities.
I will agree with that. I think the possessions or at least the long drive possessions are going to come at a premium in this game. So I think that is going to be key. Ball security and time of possession, all that good stuff, I think plays a lot into this game. Some fun stuff. Let's talk about some fun stuff real quick. I'm sure everybody's seen the interview by now. It's all over social media. But Levis, poking fun at himself, basically says, they ask him about if he's got any development that he's seen in the last week or two. And he says, well, yeah, I'm not making chest passes or lobbing the ball to anybody or trying to flip it to him underhand. So there's just some progression. And I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was also very telling in the fact that it's good to see him lighten up a little bit on himself, if nothing else. We talked about it a lot, do or die kind of attitude he had, the highs and the lows. Maybe he's finally figured out that there is a gray area and you can ride a middle ground, at least for now. And life is the game, like you prepare yourself in life just as you do in football. So maybe he's taken a step back from himself, trying to not push as hard as he was. I don't know, but I felt like it was a really good sign for me as a Titans fan to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I think self-awareness is definitely a good quality to have, and that's what he showed a little bit in that presser. And yeah, I mean, for me, it does at least make me a little more comfortable going forward with him at quarterback, just because if he's able to get up in front of a microphone and kind of poke at himself, like you said, and say he's not doing the chest passes and the underhand throw and call that progression, which I mean, in all honesty, it is. That's
It
what
is.
we asked for when he came back. So, for him to have that self-awareness and say that, I think the coaching staff has really drilled into his head, what he is and is
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to do. And that gives me a little bit of hope, at least moving forward. If he can clean some of that stuff or continue to clean some of that stuff up. And if coaching continues to put him in the best possible positions, which is really all you can ask for at this point. I mean, yeah, because he still has an opportunity in front of him to be on this team next year. I mean, I don't think that's a complete impossibility. I mean, I think there's at least a sliver of hope that he's a quarterback for the Titans next year. So he's got to go prove that. He's got the back half of the season to do it, and that's a first start. I guess that's all I can really ask for at this point.
Yeah, it really is. Um, all right, injuries. We got to talk about them. Titans injuries. Man, all these guys did not participate, and I don't really expect any of them except for maybe Spears and maybe McCreary in a limited capacity would even be in the game.
Yeah, I don't even think I see Spears. I
I
mean,
don't really either.
still in concussion
Concussion protocol.
protocol
Yeah.
and didn't practice today. So I'm kind of writing that one off.
Yeah, I really don't think McCreary. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I don't think any of these guys go. But Snead, Watson, McCreary, Gibbons, obviously he's done. Hardy, which really sucks because he was doing really good as a gunner on special teams. And Spears in concussion protocol. So all those guys did not participate for the Titans.
Did you have a listed injury on Hardy? Because I didn't see. I
Yeah,
saw the questionable
groin.
listing. Okay. I didn't have that info. Okay. And then yeah, like you said, I mean Leroy Watson. That's another big one that stuck out to me. That means probably another week of NPF at this point.
God.
So I think he is trending in the right direction. Callahan obviously said he doesn't expect him to be ready this week, but he's close. So maybe this will be the last week that we have to see NPF out there. That's that right tackle spot just continues to be a revolving door of horrors. I mean, I don't know at this point what you can do to make that any better.
Yeah, it's really rough. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Everybody knows it too. As far as the Texans go, Autry did not participate today. Some dude named Fatuwaski, which I have no idea who that is, and some other dude named Fisher, which again, offensive tackle, but not hugely familiar with the guy. They're all out, or they did not participate either. The not so great news for Titans fans, what's up, is that Al-Shaair, Will Anderson Jr., and Stingley all participated in a limited capacity today or in some kind of capacity today, which means all three of those guys could go.
Yeah, just to bring up a few mentioned there, I think I'm not mad about the Autry one because I don't really want to see him come back against the Titans. He's, that's not what I want to see on that side of the football. And then Azeez Al-Shaair, I don't remember if you mentioned or not, obviously another former Titan. These are both guys that can get at the passer. you look at Levis, and then like we just talked about with the right tackle in this offensive line, it's not great. And I believe they are, yeah. So this team is fifth in sacks right now, right behind the Vikings at fourth. So it doesn't get any easier this week than it was last week. Hopefully, those guys being out does make a difference. Autry especially, and then Stingley Jr. He's another playmaker on this team. This is a pretty good team as far as turnovers and turnover differential, so it would be a big deal to have him out. I don't know. We'll see what happens with those guys, but not a great injury report if I'm the Texans, right? Like, you don't feel too good about this one?
No, I mean, I do hate that it looks like that Will Anderson Jr. and Azeez Al-Shaair are both going to come back in this game. So I'm not happy about that. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll see game day. I don't know what else to say about that, man. I'm really scared. Let's just go ahead and transition into that. Let's go ahead and talk about that because I can't not talk about it right now. What is our offensive line going to do if they have to go up against Will Anderson Jr. on that right side? What is MPF going to do other than what we've already seen him do, which is fail miserably? I hope he's telling the people on his fantasy teams to get the Texans.
Yeah, that's kind of a question for me too, and I've been juggling with that. I mean, obviously we've seen them try to bring in some tight end help just for that right side. I don't know that this even matters this week. I don't know that a tight end's going to be able to hold up against Will Anderson, and I know for a fact NPF isn't going to be able to. So, yeah, I mean it's going to be tough. I don't think, for me, if I'm the Titans, I'm going into this one not figuring out how I can hold up in pass pro. I'm going in and figuring out how I can get the ball out quicker, how I can make those quick reads, how I can speed up the pass game. Time to throw. Obviously, we talked about that last week or a couple weeks ago. That's got to increase for Levis or decrease for Levis. Just being able to get out of those situations because they're going to bring pressure. I mean, you look at the tape of this Titans team; they face pressure all year. It's not going away, and you're not getting better at right tackle. So you've just got to play with what you got and find other ways to move the ball down the field. I expect a pretty run-heavy game for the Titans. I mean, because I feel like run left is your best game plan for the rest of this year. Am I wrong? Just run away from the right side.
Yeah. I mean that would be that would be my optimal running. Yeah, I would run left. I mean, what else you got? Your left side of the line. Those two guys are really the only. I don't know. I guess Brunskill's okay. So, but still, you're running to the left. You're not running up the middle. I don't know. I like what Derek said here. Have to adjust, and that's exactly right. We're going to have to adjust. This is a game where I really think everybody can see who or how Brian Callahan can call plays, because he's really got to do something in this game. He's got to move the pocket. Or I'm not sure. The only other thing I've got is tight ends, especially across the middle of the field, short crossing routes. Probably be easy to take in this game because Al-Shaair is not very good at coverage at all. We know that from experience.
And we've seen that early this season, and then it's like they just get away from it. I mean, they get the tight ends involved so early in the first and through the first half of the second quarter, and then it just goes away. Like, we had Chig catching passes, we had Wiley out there putting work in, and then it's like they get away from that too early. I don't know if I mean, obviously the defense is going to adjust, but I'll see them get 4 or 5 targets in the first quarter and then 0 targets the rest of the game. So I agree with you. I think his coaching has to be spot on. I think this is going to be a big prove-it game for him, as well as the players. And yeah, I'm not sure that he's really sure what to do at this point. But, he knows what he's got, and you've been through the first half of the season. and you've seen what the defenses are throwing at you. So this feels like, the game, if not last week, which I thought he called a pretty decent game last week, but this feels like the game where he can really get it right. So we'll see. I mean, this is a divisional opponent, and if you're going to have success going forward, you're going to have to be successful against these teams. So this is kind of his second chance to prove that.
Absolutely, man. And he's saying here that this could be an upset game, and he's absolutely right. But the thing is another thing that I noticed about the Texans, watched them a little bit this week. I'll be honest, but watching them, their defense is extremely aggressive, and they are susceptible to going a little too aggressively at the play, and when they see misdirection, they don't adjust to it well. So I feel like that's a big thing in this game too. We've seen it a lot with the reverses and hell, even the double reverse flea flicker, which is some crazy but it worked, and I think it's going to work on these Texans too, because they don't do well at staying home and being patient on defense. I will say that they're a little too aggressive on defense, in my opinion.
Well, and that was one I was going to bring up too. Not only the misdirections, but the QB runs and the option plays. I think that should be a big part of the game plan this week. I think the designed runs for Levis will be there. And I think if he can make the right decision, you can have some success in the run-pass option. So, we saw a little bit of it last week. I'm curious to see how much they practice that this week moving forward to try to get in some more of those situations. But, I mean, I think that's a weapon. Will Levis, he's basically a linebacker playing quarterback. He gets the ball in his hands. He may not slide every time, but he's going to pick up yardage. So I think that has to be a big part of this one. And then on the flip side of that, this defense, you've kind of got to worry about the same thing in C.J. Stroud. I think he's second on the team in rushing. Being able to contain him, that's going to be a big one in this game for me too. So I feel like whichever quarterback kind of gets in rhythm first and is able to hit some shots and then get their legs moving, I feel like that's going to play a big part in this one.
Yeah, and I loved the way that last game they set up that early in the game. Mm-hmm. Used it quite often early in the game, and then just kind of stepped away from it later in the game, because that is a good way to get Will Levis going. He is a very physical player. He likes to get hit for some weird reason, and he likes to give out hits. So, yeah, I think running the quarterback design runs, RPOs, I like that. I like the RPOs, even though he made the wrong read on one. But
that's what I'm saying.
After looking at that, did you watch? Have you seen that tape again? Have you looked at that and seen the way that the guy twitches to the inside?
A little bit, but at the same time, to me, if you watch it, of course, it's hard to see from behind the quarterback, but I don't like where his eyes are. It looks like his eyes are kind of on the defensive line and seeing which way they're moving, and he has no notion of where that linebacker is and what that linebacker is about to do. So that's that. I did see the flinch a little bit to kind of maybe try to throw him off. But for me, it's just, I don't know that he's really seeing the field that well on his throws and on his runs. That's been a point for me, since he's been starting, is just being able to see the field, being able to know where to look, where your reads are, what the defense is doing. So it could go either way on that. And look, even if it was a bad read, I still don't think that's enough reason to get away from it at 2-8,
Agreed. Yeah, at this point, you might as well do it, because, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Exactly.
Will Levis gets hurt and Mason has to go in. Oh, darn.
I'm not really okay with that either, though, because then at the end of the year, we're sitting here like, well, he had those good couple games and then got hurt. Like, I'm not ready for that.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't want that either. Like I said, I want him to start every single game for the rest of the season, so we have no doubt by the end of it whether he's going to be the dude or not. I don't think he's going to be the dude for the franchise. I just want to know if he's going to be the dude enough for next year
to get us
so
to
that
the next
we can
dude.
Plan.
Yeah.
Yes, plan a little bit better to get to the next dude. Correct.
Yep. And while we're on the subject of Levis, I did want to bring up, you talked about how this defense for Houston is aggressive. and sometimes they're not patient. But I will say also that's led to a lot of turnovers for this team. I
Yes.
think they're either second or third. Now I had it wrote down, but they're second and third, and there it is, tied for second in interceptions at 14. They're +8 in the turnover differential, and they've done that with Stroud throwing more picks through 11 games than he threw in 15 starts last year. So despite the fact that he's turning the ball over, I mean, I think he has one less interception than Levis, but Houston is +8 in turnover differential, where the Titans are -11 at next to the bottom of the league. So that just goes to show you how good this defense is for Houston. I think that's why Stingley was a big point of emphasis. So it's really going to come down to who can make the least amount of mistakes, and can the Titans actually capitalize, be able to full Stroud and get some turnovers. I think the run game and turnover differential are going to be a big part of this game for sure.
I agree. I 100% agree. And pretty much the turnover differential. I mean, that's like one of those things that's just, yeah. I mean, whoever wins the turnover battle almost always wins the game.
Unless you're Jared Goff with 5 interceptions.
Yeah. And okay. Yeah.
That does happen.
Record breaking. God, man. At least it's not the Titans, dude. Usually the Titans are ones on the record breaking, but it's an embarrassing record. Anyway, speaking of embarrassing, I'm going to go off for a minute here. So sorry. Texans owner Hannah McNair come out and said, quote, "We've taken over Houston now." In reference to the H-Town uniforms, I should say that. The reporter asked her about the H-Town uniforms and the color scheme that they used. This was her response. Quote, "We've taken over Houston now. We've taken our fans back. They are just the Titans now." First of all, that doesn't really make sense as a statement. Second of all, you've taken Houston. My God, I would hope so. That's your hometown. If the Titans didn't at least have Nashville, what are you doing? Thirdly, you didn't take the fans back. I know plenty of old school fans that are these old school Oiler guys that followed the franchise to Tennessee, and they've never looked back. And they laugh at Houston because they're a freaking train wreck. Even when they're good, they're a train wreck, just as you pointed out. Their best feature last year is turning the ball over faster than anybody else on the team. Not that I'm saying that CJ Stroud is having a bad year or anything like that, because, I mean, he's not. But my point is he's not having the same year he did last year. Right. And that's what made them elevated last year. So, I don't know.
Yeah, to a point. And to be fair, I think he has elevated him this year to an extent. I mean, he's 5th in passing yards, but I see your point. Now, as far as the comments about, taking the city back, and I find it so stupid just because you didn't take the city back like it was unclaimed territory. I mean, the Titans moved. You just planted a flag in a blank space, in my opinion. And then as far as taking the fans back, kind of the same thing for me. I mean, the fans that didn't follow the Titans, I mean, if they weren't rooting for the Titans or the Oilers when they moved, then they weren't really rooting for anybody. I mean, Houston Oilers fans didn't just become Dallas fans overnight. Like, that's not how that worked. So you may have got some fans that were Oilers fans and then stopped rooting for any team, but you didn't take anybody back. So that's just, I mean, every time we play the Texans, it's always something. It's either the uniforms or the city, or, I mean, it's just they're picking fights with air at this point. I mean, it's not even a conversation that the Titans are having. It's not a conversation that the media of the Titans are having. Like, they're the only ones who continue this, and it's just like that pesky person that keeps coming back and keeps coming back. It's annoying to me at this point. If you're a good football team, which you are, just be a good football team. Like, it doesn't have to be about the past and about the team. It just be a good football team. Be your own franchise.
You ever had one of those friends that's genuinely a cool guy and you like hanging out with them, but damn it, every time you and your boys get around and you're drinking some beers and you're talking about old stories and stuff, doesn't matter what you guys have got or what you guys have experienced, that guy has also experienced it and experienced it in a different way, in a better way, according to, you know what I mean? You ever had one of those guys and you're just like, damn it, dude, why are you doing that? We know you're bullshit, and you just be cool, dude. Everybody's cool. You don't have to be like that.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like saying to the Texans. Calm down, man.
Yeah.
Be cool. Find your own identity.
Exactly.
And when you do find that identity, stick to it.
Yep.
But trying to piggyback off of our franchise's identity. And not only that, this is the thing that I love pointing out to people. Derek said it right here. The reason they left Houston is because Bud wanted a new stadium. And they told him, no, we don't want you, whatever the reason may be, money, whatever it was, we don't want it. No, we're not doing it. And in Tennessee, in almost the exact same time when all this crap is going on, Titans asked for a new stadium, and Nashville says, yeah, we can do that. And I think it just burned Houston a little bit. I don't know but I honestly feel like that was the catalyst that launched this entire stupid colors, throwback Oilers, H-Town uniform bullcrap.
Yeah, I agree. And just like you said, just be your own person, be your own football team. I mean, you're in a position where they control their destiny in this division, and rightfully so. They've played the best football when it comes to the rest of the AFC South, and yeah, just let it go. Just play football and let it go. 100%.
That's it, man. And honestly, if you're in Tennessee, Tennessee is a football state. We're not one of those, lackadaisical states about football. We are hardcore about football. Even our go to any of the high school games in my county, and I guarantee you I'll show you what I'm talking about, bro. I live like a half a mile from the smallest town in my county, and I can still hear the people when they go off. When they score a touchdown because you can hear it. It's insane. And that's just high school level football. Mm-hmm. We're not talking about 130,000 people at Neyland Stadium going nuts. Anyway, sorry. I got off on a little I told you I was going to go off a little bit, and I'm sorry. It just gets on my nerves, I tried to let it go at first, and then I was like, nah, if they're going to make it a thing, I'm going to make it a thing. And then I got exhausted in doing that and was like, God, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, it's not worth it. Not even worth it.
No, but I have to at least respond to the crazy bullshit that she was spouting. So, you took back your own city. Congratulations.
So while we were on that subject, I did see a comment I wanted to touch on.
Go for it.
Here, what do you think about this?
I absolutely say 110% unequivocally yes.
See, I don't. I think, again, we talked about it before. I think I've seen more regression this year than I have development. Now, I'm not saying that's directly tied to and on the coaching staff that's here now, but I think there's at least a question of that. I think the previous coaching staff, they knew that he might – I'm not going to say they knew. They gave hints that he might not have been ready for that moment. You saw the back and forth with him and Vrabel. There was some questions there about, is this Vrabel's guy? Does he really want him out there? And at the time, we were kind of scoffing at Vrabel. But then you see him open up this year, and it's like, okay, well, maybe did he know something that we didn't at the time? Were the stupid mistakes always there, and they were just masked a little bit better? So I don't know. I can't 100% say that, yes, it's on the previous coaching staff, just because I haven't seen enough development this year. I mean, yes, he's played a better last couple of games, but I'm still not ready to sit here today and say that he's made strides. Like, I need to see it the rest of the year. So I think the jury's still out on that for me right now.
I'll say this. I think, first of all, that Mike Vrabel, you are absolutely 100% right. Mike Vrabel had absolutely no faith in Will Levis whatsoever. I don't think he ever saw him as a starting quarterback. I don't think he ever liked him as a second-round pick. I don't think he liked him, period. So for Will Levis last year, from his point of view, he's got a chip on his shoulder. And the franchise is put in a position where they have no choice but to start the rookie because their quarterback is hurt. And what does the dude do? But he comes out and lights the place up. And, he played with that chip on his shoulder, at least for that first game. He had one more, possibly two more good games if you want to count the Steelers game as a good game. But this year, going into this season, he had a full offseason of not only Rand Carthon telling him he was going to be the man, but then Brian Callahan coming in telling him he was going to be the man. And then Calvin Ridley coming in and telling him he was going to be the man because all you got to do is pass me the ball. And, this is a buildup of over time. This young man went from a coaching staff that didn't believe in him, a fan base that didn't believe in him, to everybody believing absolutely unequivocally that he is the dude before he even threw a football this year. So I feel like that is a completely different place coming. You know what I mean? I feel like you prepare differently as that person. I think everything is handled differently as that person.
I agree to an extent, but I think there should have been a quicker adjustment period. Like we talked about it on the post-game show with this last game he played. It's like, yeah, that was a good game, but that's the game we expected to see in week 2 or in week 3. Like, it took you this long to get to that point. So I think that does say a lot about Levis, but I also can't say it doesn't say anything about the coaching staff. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll be honest with you, though. I thought this team was going to be good until about week 3 or week 4. It took that many losses for me to go, okay, maybe we're not in the position I thought we were in the beginning. So I don't see him doing the same thing as necessarily a bad thing for his development. Is more of what kind of mental state are you in? And I think at that point he was already crowned, I guess, in his own mind. But I think now he's back to that point of I've got to prove myself to these people and show people that I am the dude.
Yeah, that I will agree with. I think, and I said it on the last show, he has been humbled. Like, if there is anything that he's got from from this season as a whole, I mean, it's humbled him to the point where it's like, okay, I can't just go in and let my talent win football games. It's going to take more than talent. I've got to actually develop skill. I've got to be able to watch tape and read defenses. And I think that he's done that these last 2 games. And that's where I do see a little bit of progression again, but we always talk about it. It's consistency. I need to see it this week against Houston. I need to see it the next game against Houston. I mean, from this point on, I'm not saying he's on a short leash because this coaching staff has proven time and time again that he is the guy during the season, no matter what. But I will say, like, he's walking a tightrope. I'll put it that way, because you can't let the mistakes mount up in these games the way you did in the first few games. I mean, he will literally get buried by the fans and possibly by this coaching staff. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I do agree with that. I think he's back at square one. And we'll see what happens and how he handles it.
Yeah, man. And we've got so much more to talk about, but we're going to take a quick 40-second, not 40-minute, good Lord. 40-second small commercial break for our sponsors.
What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here. Are you in need of professional excavation services? Look no further. Red Zone Builders has the expertise, experience, and equipment to handle all or any excavation project, big or small. Whether you need land clearing, site preparation, trenching, foundation excavation, or any other excavation services, they have you covered. Their team of skilled professionals will work diligently to ensure your project is completed safely, efficiently, and to your satisfaction. Trust the experts at Red Zone Builders to get the job done right.
And we're back. I told you it wouldn't be too long. So just to go over some of the... How do we expect? Well, we don't expect instant wins, but I mean, honestly, I thought this team was a lot better coming into this season from the offseason. If you'd have told me we were going to be 2-8, I would have just argued with you all day long.
Yeah, I mean, their over-under was 6.5 wins, and everybody
Yeah.
was saying free money, free money. I mean, there was – I don't think anybody expected to win instantly, but there was an expectation of a competitive football team, and we haven't had that. And even to that comment, I don't think anybody's 100% sure this guy's going to start next year if need be. Like, I don't care if they have to bring in somebody off the street. Like, I don't think it's 100% that this dude's starting next year. I don't think it's 100% that anybody's starting next year, whether it be a rookie, whether it be a free agent, whether it be Will Levis. I don't think this coaching staff or this management knows who their quarterback's going to be next year. I can say that with certainty.
Let me say this real quick also. A lot of people in the offseason of his rookie year, before he got to play football, they said his, what do they call that? The pro that they're most like or whatever was, what's his name? Buffalo, damn it.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, thank you. They said he was like Josh Allen, or they compared him to Josh Allen. If you look at the numbers from their first 16 games or whatever that they've played, it was actually really, really close. I wish I had these numbers in front of. Oh, hey, I do have these numbers in front of me. Check that out. Josh Allen, 15% or 57% completion percentage, 6.7 yards per attempt, 15 passing touchdowns, and 23 turnovers in his first 15 games, I think it is. Will Levis, 62% completion percentage, 6.9% yard per average, or 6.9 yard per average, 16 touchdowns, 19 turnovers. Basically, he's ahead of him in every single category. So, but at the same time, we don't want to catch ourselves in another New York City team issues and be like the Giants and 4 years later have so much invested in this young man, right, and then just have to completely turn away from it. So there are two very good examples of what can happen with Will Levis and what I really feel like is his ceiling and his floor. But that is it. We're looking at either Josh Allen, which, my God, I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be freaking sweet. And according to the analytics, everything says that it could be, but I don't know. But then you look at the other side and it's like, oh my God, please don't give me a Daniel Jones.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. That's why you have to be real careful when you play that comparison game, because yes, there is Josh Allen, but then there's also a lot of other quarterbacks who played like Josh Allen that first year and then didn't have that turnaround season. And there's a whole lot more of those other guys and one Josh Allen. So that's why I hate the comparison game, because it's like, yes, that can be his ceiling, but most people who don't have at least a little bit of early success, most people with those numbers that Will Levis has had and that Josh Allen has had, they don't turn out to be good. I mean, that's just the way it works. So yeah, Josh Allen succeeded, and I'm not saying Will Levis can't, but when you're talking about, metrics and comparisons, like there's a lot more people that didn't work out than Josh Allen, if that makes sense. Well, yeah. So yeah, but I agree to your point. I mean, to that, I still think he can turn it around. Again, I still think the talent and the ceiling is very high. It's just that the floor is so low.
Oh, yeah.
And it just tends to fluctuate up and down, up and down. Like, we've seen him do great things. We've seen him put the ball in tight windows, but we've also seen him just make the stupidest mistakes you can possibly make on a football field. So if he can find to put more good out than bad, I think he's got a shot. But again, I've got to see it on a consistent basis. And you've done it 2 weeks in a row. Now go do it 6 more times. That's what I need to see.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point there, man. I guess that is really the point, is that every quarterback pretty much sucks in their rookie year, especially if they're thrown out there or their first couple games. They always suck.
Unless you're Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, unless you just walk into the NFL ruling. Yeah, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, all these guys had bad numbers. The point is the legends figure out a way to refine themselves within 2 to 3 years, and then they are Pro Bowl players. That's the difference. Can Will Levis turn himself into a Pro Bowl player in the next 2 seasons? I don't know. But based on the numbers, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. So, as the optimistic dude that I am, I will keep out hope that he does. I will expect that he doesn't. And then we'll probably get something in between those two.
Yeah, I like it. so for you, what's your path to victory this week at Houston? What does it take to get over this hump? Is there one specific metric that you're looking at, one specific stat you're looking at to where it's like, okay, you have to win in this category, and this is how you catch up to what Houston can do?
Yes. It's actually pretty simple. It's how you stop most mobile quarterbacks with a good run game is you plug the run and you contain the quarterback, which we have not been able to do the second part of that very well at all this season. Any mobile quarterback we go up, even non-mobile quarterbacks we go up against seem to be able to run on us. So our containment of the quarterback is not good.
I mean, Sam Darnold turned into Lamar Jackson back there a couple of times.
Bro, that was killing me, man. I was like, you're the tomato. Whatever. Anyway, like I said, if we can stop the run, stop Joe Mixon, because Joe Mixon is a lot like Pollard. He runs like him, and he's got a very similar stat line as Pollard. So if we can stop him and contain CJ Stroud, make them one-dimensional, make them throw the ball, which they still have a lot of talent at wide receiver. I'm not saying that is a guaranteed win if we can do those two things, but I feel like that is enough to make the curve come down to where we're an even playing field, and then we can try to get the advantage.
Yeah, I agree. And you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, I had 3 points in this one. If you look at Houston's losses, in all of those losses, he was sacked four or more times. And then obviously the Jets game, I think he was sacked like 8 times. So you have to be able to get a pass rush. That's something that, again, it's been kind of an inconsistent thing for this team. So if they're gonna find a pass rush, this needs to be the week to do it. And then if you look at Stroud, we talked about what he can do with his legs, how he's the second lead rusher on the team. He was held under 20 rush yards in 3 of those 4 losses. So you're right; it has to be containment. You have to block those lanes up. We can't see another week of a quarterback having all day to throw and then just take off running, because these receivers on this team are going to find ways to get open, and he's going to be able to make those plays happen. And then kind of an understated one for me is going to be special teams. And, I know we've kind of harped on that a lot this year. But if you look at what Houston's doing, they have 18 fair catches on punts. That's 3rd most in the NFL. So they're not a team that returns a lot of punts. You don't want to let that change this week. I mean, obviously we've seen how hard it is for us to hold up in coverage like that. You got to keep them at those fair catches, and you've got to be able to control the field position. But this is a team that they average about 30 yards. I think it's 28.9 on kickoffs, which is 7th in the NFL. So special teams is going to be a big story of the day. If the Titans are going to be able to hold up, pin them deep, win that field position, and then the defense just has to find a way to put pressure on them and make them uncomfortable. And if you do that, you keep yourself in this game in the 4th quarter, and then anything can happen, in my opinion.
I'll say this. While you were saying that, and I was thinking about it, I saw this comment, and then I thought about it a little deeper, and I thought, man, if we could really contain them to inside the numbers, force every single play to inside the numbers, just literally. I mean, even if we have to let a little bit of escape in the middle, it's better if we force them to the inside.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where your 2 biggest bodies are, in Sweat and Simmons. I mean, nobody's winning that battle.
Exactly. Sweat, I mean, if nothing else, he proved last week that the last 3 weeks in a row, that he is a run-stuffing machine.
Absolutely.
He hasn't got a sack yet. And, I would love it. I would absolutely love it if his 5th or 6th time playing in NRG Stadium, whichever one it is, because he was in Texas most of his football career. would be in NRG Stadium against CJ Stroud. I would absolutely love that. I'd love if the young man got one of them, especially if it was one of those where he had to chase him down and you see a big man running fast. Oh, I love those hits. But yeah, it would be pretty sweet. Yeah, special teams have not been great, but
Yeah.
I agree. If we're going to have any chance at winning, we can't have those long returns by special teams. We can't have the missed blocks and letting them get in our punt. It's just nasty. And we need Folk to get back to being that guy, which he hasn't. He's only missed one kick.
Yeah, I mean, he still is that guy. I mean, that you can't ask for much more than what he's been able to do. If there is a bright spot on special teams, it has to be Folk.
Yeah, it's Folk. Yeah,
Just continue.
Yeah, it used to be Folk in Stonehouse, but Stonehouse kind of gotten a little scared.
And let's remember, we were trying to push Folk aside in the offseason for that rookie. Let's not forget. So, apologies to NWI and apologies to Folk. Those two guys, they ain't going nowhere.
Man, I even said it in a social media post today. If you would have told me that NWI would outperform Tyler Boyd in every statistical column, I would have straight laughed at you. I would have said you're out of your mind. I don't know where you learned football at, but it's wrong. And look where we're at. NWI has 5 touchdowns on 15 receptions.
Is he the most valuable player so far this year? I mean, I don't think that's a stupid question. I'm not saying he is, but I think it's a conversation that could at least have an argument to it.
I think since Derrick Henry is gone, he is the most loved Titan. I'll say that. He's homegrown, he's a wide receiver, and he's successful. Those are 3 things we don't see in Tennessee. So I am extremely happy, if nothing else, that we have a homegrown, undrafted free agent, wide receiver that could be arguably a decent number 2 in the NFL.
Arguably, but yeah, I'll give you that. Yep.
I was posed with a question on social media this week if I would re-sign NWI, and I didn't hesitate. I said absolutely. And I tell you what, I would even re-sign him to a multi-year contract. I would give him somewhere around 2 to 3 years at somewhere close to $5 million in salary, and I'd even spot him $2 to $4 million guaranteed.
Yeah, just an apology check.
As I was going to say, as if nothing else, to show that this organization is no longer taking the people that put in the hard work to develop themselves as a good player. We're not going to let them go anymore. We're going to keep them.
This man was being outsnapped by Traylon Burks. Like, I cannot let that go. Like, if nothing else, there needs to be a written apology on the back of a check. I mean, you have to re-sign him at this point. I mean, he's earned it. I don't see how you couldn't. Dude. And if they don't re-sign him, I legitimately hope he goes to a team that wins a Super Bowl. I legitimately believe that. I love the Titans, but it would be a travesty if they did not pay this man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna. The only thing that I'll be upset about is if they give him another 1-year contract.
Oh yeah,
I mean, I won't be like completely, but I'll be.
I'll go off, guys. Oh, I would absolutely go off if he got.
Y'all at least need to give him 2 years. Y'all at least need to give him a little bit of comfort. Now I agree. After 3 years, it starts to get a little foggy because he is 26 or 27. He'll be 30 close in 3 years. So. All right, that's where I start to get a little iffy. But that's why I say 2 to 3 years. And I think $5 million salary is great. I think he'll even probably poop his pants at seeing $5 million a year on the contract. Since this year, I think we're paying him like $970,000 or something like that. So I really feel like NWI, I feel like he's earned it. And I feel like the Titans organization should give it to him. And pretty much, from what I can see, about 70% of the fan base 100% agrees with me. And the other 25% is saying, I mean, he's a good 3 or 4, but I don't know that I would give him that much money. And I'm just like, well, I mean, the other 25% is just wrong. I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, look, he's exactly what even if he is a 3 or 4, you're paying him for availability because your ones and twos seem to get hurt every single year. This is the one guy that's been able to show up, show that he can take care of his body, and that's why I wouldn't be mad at a 4-year contract because what injuries does he have that you can look back on and say, well, he didn't play the same out. He hasn't had that. I mean, he's a guy, he's a veteran now. He knows how to take care of his body. He knows how to be available for these games, and he's done nothing but show up and catch touchdowns. So even if he is that 3 or 4, I'm still comfortable paying him on a 4-year contract. I mean, give him $5 million a year. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because you know that if somebody goes down, he's going to be able to step in and be consistent and catch touchdowns and just be on the field. And I think that's you have to have guys like that on your team. You have to have that in depth.
Derek, normally I agree with your devil's advocate, whatever stuff, but that's just, I'm sorry, man. I can't do that. I can't trade away NWI. I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, I can trade away anybody. I mean, for the right price, I love NWI, but for the right price, I'll trade anybody.
All right. I guess I shouldn't say I won't because my boss always says that. He's like, I don't care for the right price. I'll sell you anything. I'll sell you the shirt off my back. I don't care. And yeah, okay, all right. I guess money talks and BS walks, but still, as far as I can say it, man, there is very few players on this team I would rather see as not Titans than NWI. He's earned it as far as I can see, and he's a blue collar dude, undrafted free agent. We all feel like that, you know what I mean? And we all root for a guy like Mason Kinsey, who's never going to get there. I mean, I understand why you guys like him, but he's never going to get there. But this is a dude who is there, who is getting there. He's there now. He's at maybe his peak. Maybe he's just now starting to reach his, I don't know. But my point is you got to give it to the man. He's put in the work, dude. And I just feel like you should reward people that put in the work.
Yeah. So speaking of guys, real quick question I want to pose. Speaking of guys who have earned it, who were showing up on the field, I want to talk about 3 rookies. I want to talk about Sweat, Latham, and Brownlee. Of those 3 guys, in your opinion, who is the highest value? Who has impressed you most this year?
Oh man, that is a rough one. Oh my God, dude. That's tough because I mean, based on my expectations is based on where they were drafted.
See, that's somebody asked me this today, and I said the same exact thing.
The fact that Brownlee is a 5th round draft pick and is hanging out there, putting on a game like L'Jarius Sneed, like we were hoping he was going to put on. I mean, let's be honest. Take away some of those PI calls from last week and turn those into incompletions, and bro is like on the face of every PFF CB board, every single one. He's got to be either top 2 or top 3 for this week. Has to be. Against Justin Jefferson? Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw the level of play. Not only was he keeping up with him, but he's slapping balls down and stuff in front of his face. And again, I don't like, player perception is sometimes skewed. But even Justin Jefferson said, dude is going to be a baller.
Yeah.
He's going to be crazy in this league. So I have to give it to him. Although I do say performance-wise, Latham has been the most consistent and most improved, I have to say, from game 1 to today.
Yeah, I would agree. And I was hoping we'd argue a little more on that, but I mean, you said it. I mean, because you have to look at draft position and where he fell. I mean, Latham's done a great job, but he's done what we expected him to do. Whether that expectation was fair or not, we wanted him to come in. We wanted him to fix the tackle position, and now it's a position that we're not even talking about. We're talking about the right side, and even if the right side was right, I mean, he's not only playing like a good rookie left tackle, he's playing like a good left tackle. So I don't think you could ask any more from Latham. But looking at draft position, and same thing with Sweat. I think Sweat came in. He's done what we expected. Obviously, there were some questions about conditioning and character even, but yeah, I mean those have been proven wrong. He's been great on and off the field, but when you look at draft position, like I said, you've got to look at Brownlee. And I mean, when you talk about value and being able to show up in a secondary where we didn't even think he would see a lot of playing time this year, because you had Snead, you had Awuzie, and then he comes in and does what he does and does it great. I mean, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I'm really curious to see if this is kind of the ceiling for him or if we've only scratched the surface. Super excited to see, you know, how he's able to progress through the rest of this year and into next year. But if this is a sign of things to come, I mean, there's a bright future ahead for this kid.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Jarvis Brownlee Jr., man. He has really put on a good show this year, and I hope that he continues to put on this good show. As I mean, there was another thing we were talking about online, because we were like, well, since Brownlee's doing so good, and obviously you gave Snead a huge contract, you can't let him go. What about Awuzie? And literally everybody was going, man, he makes too much money. I mean, he'd be too much of a cap hit. I mean, right now we've just got a really good problem to have. Too many good cornerbacks. When was the last time you could say that our fourth string cornerback was good enough to be our first string quarterback?
I do agree with that, and that is a really good problem to have. But I will also preface that with saying the guys that we want to be those good quarterbacks haven't been able to see the field, and that's a little concerning for me, because you do have Snead on that contract. You do have Awuzie with the cap hit if he walks. And so for me, yes, it's a good problem to have, and I'm excited to see what Brownlee can do. But I also need to be able to see Snead get healthy, because for him to miss this many games and not be put on IR, that's baffling to me. I think I'm not saying there's more to that, but if it's just something that keeps nagging and nagging and nagging and nagging, how do we know we're not in the same position next year? So yes, I agree. It's been a long time since we can say we had a cornerback room with this kind of depth in it, but I need to see these guys do it on the field and be able to get on the field, because the same good things we're talking about with NWI, we can say the bad things about Snead to this point.
I'll agree with that. And I'll also say, I don't know if you heard, but today they opened up a 21-day window for Awuzie to come back off of IR and come back to the team. So I'm interested in that. I'm really excited to see him come back. Hopefully he can get back in the last quarter of the season and put together a really nice, last quarter. If nothing else, we can see if Brownlee and Awuzie can be good enough.
Absolutely.
That we don't have to worry about whether Snead's coming back or not.
I do agree with that.
All right, look, last week I didn't want to do it. I ain't doing a bold prediction. I'm just not doing it. Every single time I do it, it's a complete opposite, and I don't want to jinx anything this week. But I will give a score prediction. And as much as it pains me to do, I will say that the Titans are going to score 21 points.
Oh, that's bold prediction. You kill two birds with one stone.
But the Texans are going to score 24 points. And I think we lose to the Texans at NRG Stadium by a mere 3 points on the last drive. I think it's going to come down to that close of a game.
Interesting. Okay. I still do not think this team will score over 17 points, because this team has not shown me that it can score over 17 points. I mean, I will give you the benefit of the doubt when I see you do otherwise. So I do not have the Tennessee Titans that high. I've got them at 13. I've got Houston at 27. I think as much as I don't want to see it, I think Stroud has a big game. I think Houston's defense is able to get to Will Levis. I think they are able to force some turnovers. It's just going to be a matter of can the Titans defense match that. So we'll see what happens, but I've got it 13-27 Houston, which is just right under that 40.5. That's set right at 40. So taking the under, taking Houston to win and cover.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never known how to disagree with somebody and still be civil, take some example from Link here, because he just basically said, bro, there ain't no damn way that's happening. You're out of your freaking mind. But he's just said, Okay. But I could tell that's what he was thinking in his mind was, bro, you're out of your freaking mind.
There
It's
is
never
there
gonna
is
happen.
there is always a path to victory. It's just a
Any given
very
Sunday.
bumpy path. It's just a very bumpy path for the Titans this year. So and there's a lot of twists and turns. And if they make one of those wrong turns, like you do not have a lot of room for error if you're this Titans team. But hey, there is possibility. Anything can happen. Like you said, any given Sunday. I just need to see it before I believe it.
Look, man, I will say this: we are due for that surprise win at the time, and we did hang around with the Vikings for a lot longer than I thought we would. So those two things give me a little sliver of hope. However, Levis could come out and give 3 turnovers and be looking at the scoreboard, questioning himself, like, "What's going on? Why is the world doing this to me? I don't understand gravity." But sorry, that was mean. I shouldn't say things like that about.
I mean,
But
that's a
my
lot more
God,
likely
man.
than the Titans scoring 21 points.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah, I'll give you that. All right, so anyway, to summarize the show, I don't know. What you got anything to summarize this crap up with?
Nah, man, just stick with us. Obviously, we're gonna have a recap for this one. Hopefully, they go out and prove me wrong. And yeah, it is kind of one of those games where it's like we might be due for a win. They always have that crazy one every single season, and this might be that. So just stay tuned with us. Tune in next time, and we'll give you all the details of it and talk about what we saw in this one.
And all right, look, there's only a 0.5% chance that we could still win the division. But let's just go on a hypothetical. Really, it's a pipe dream at this moment. But let's just go on that pipe dream for a second and say that we ruined the Texans' day. See? Without even really thinking about it, you thought about it immediately and a smile came across your face.
Well, and because look, this division is still wide open. I'm not saying for the Titans, but for the Colts and the Texans, they both feel like the division's theirs for the taking. I mean, you go in and you drop the Texans to 7-5 at home, and Anthony Richardson continues to look the way he does, and then you go in and beat the Colts and split the games with them. Like, you can at least play spoiler this year. If nothing else,
you can at
least
up,
go in and play spoiler. And this is a Titans team who, everybody's exactly right. They're the type of team who might drop both games to the Jaguars and then go beat the Texans twice. Like that is a real possibility because that's just what we've seen through this history. So I mean, it's at least worth watching. This is why we play the games, because it's not all told on paper.
That is it. That is it exactly. None of this is told on paper. This is not a stats game. It's a game that you have to watch with your eyeballs and study. Anyway, thanks for hanging around with us if you've hung around with us this long. If you are a fan of us and you do hang around with us every week and you haven't already, get on YouTube and subscribe. We put out some exclusive videos. You can see things that you won't see anywhere else on our YouTube channel. So get there, get subscribed, hit the like button, share it with all your friends, get us out there. We love you guys. And until next time,
Tighten up.
Tighten up. Peace out.